Charlie Cat Presents. And as you can tell by my walking into the scene again, I still do not have a camera person. But at some point, some way, somehow, one will come my way. Today, on Charlie Cat Presents, we're going to be looking at some fascinating coins from Canada that were dug up here in Saginaw by my good friend Gil Albert. The oldest of these coins is from 1825, from Lower Canada, what was called Lower Canada then. And the newest will probably be Queen Victoria coins from 1858 onward a little bit. Each are historically significant. Now the condition on many of these is not that great. So I'm going to show you the actual coin, and then I will show you an image from the computer of what the coin in good condition would look like. But despite the condition, again, they are historically significant, and especially the 1825 coin gives me pause to wonder why it would have been found here in Saginaw, buried here in Saginaw. There are a lot of possibilities, and we'll discuss them as I look at that coin with you. I want to remind you that at the end of this video, I'm going to draw a name on the collector's plate that I'm giving away, and so you want to stick around for that, see if it's your name that's drawn. And if it is, I will contact you and give you my email address so that you can send me the shipping address so that I can get that plate off to you. So without further ado, as they say, I hate that expression, but it's so overused, but without much more commentary from me here, let's take a look at that first coin from 1825. Here we have the first coin. This is the 1825 halfpenny, and it says on it, "to facilitate trade." It was Canadian provinces, Lower Canada, and it's just a token type, and it is composed of copper. Now as you look at the front of this, and this is the front, you can see faintly the outline of the bust of a man, okay? And we'll get into a little bit who he is, but let's take a look at the obverse. This is the obverse, and again, as you can see, the condition is not good, but it's still a significant coin. And in just a moment here, I'll show you an image of what a good copy of the coin would look like. But the thing that pops into my mind is how this coin got to Saginaw in the first place, because it was found. It was dug up here in Saginaw by my friend Gil Albert. On the back of this coin it says "to facilitate trade" and 1825, and then in the center it has a woman sitting on some bales holding a scale of balance in her hand. Now how did this get here and when? If it was here in that immediate era of 1825, the population here in Saginaw of white residents would have been extremely small. So it's my guess that it came here later. It probably wasn't in a collection of some collector because of its condition. It might just be a piece that somebody from Canada brought with them when they moved here, and then lost. But it would have more than likely come here, I would think, maybe 20 or 30 years after it was minted, so that it would facilitate having been found here. So this is the actual coin. Now we're going to take a look at some better images of what the coin would look like. This is the obverse of the coin, or the front, and it is the bust of Charles D. Salaberry, who was a lieutenant colonel in the French-Canadian military. He was an officer and a statesman, and he was a very significant character in the early history of Canada because he was won distinction for repelling the American advance on Montreal during the War of 1812. Had that turned out differently, Canada, or at least part of it thereof, might have been part of the United States of America now. So he was very significant in the history of Canada. And again, this is from Lower Canada. Here is the coin front and back. On the right is the back of the coin, and again there's the lady with the scales, and sitting on bales, and it says to facilitate trade, and again 1825. And here's a small computer-generated map of Canada in 1825. Lower Canada, you will see, is at the lower right-hand side, and I believe that is the area of Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. This should be of significant interest to my viewer, Mimi D, because if I remember correctly, Mimi D lives in what would have been Lower Canada back in the day. So let's move on to the second coin. This coin is from 1844, and it's a halfpenny, and it is a bank token from Quebec, Montreal, Upper Canada City Bank. During the first half of the 19th century, there was a chronic shortage of small coins in Lower Canada. And in 1835, following a government decision to remove all the lightweight pieces from circulation, the shortage became acute. No official coins were issued, but the Bank of Montreal, the Quebec Bank, and the City Bank, and La Banque du Peuple were given authority to issue their own coins. Now here's the reverse of the coin. The front of the coin showed the, it says on it, the Province of Canada, Bank of Montreal, and it shows the banking house. And then this side, the reverse says Bank Token, 1844 halfpenny, Concordia, Salis, and an X in the center, and in each V formed by the X is a different symbol. The bottom is a symbol of Canada, the beaver. But let's take a look at some, a better image of this so that you can tell exactly what the coin looked like. Again, this was dug here in Saginaw, and it would have been issued before there was much of not a great population there here in Saginaw of whites. There would have been, a small population and a large population of Native American Indians. Now here you see a good image of the obverse and the reverse of the coin, and the details are much clearer on here. I did have notation in the book, and I may be repeating myself a little bit, but hey, I'm old. But if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. This is a copper coin, and from the Province of Canada, the Bank of Montreal. And again, it is a halfpenny token dated 1844. And on the reverse, as I think I pointed out, is the Bank of Montreal official coat of arms. This was actually dug up on the west side of Saginaw. Its condition is, as you saw, not tip-top, but you can still see the images on both the obverse and the reverse. So an interesting coin, which again I have to question, how did it get here? Was it brought here by somebody who moved here from Canada? Was it brought here in use in trade? Was it actually used as money here? Because I know in the United States, before we began issuing a lot of our own coinage, that coins from other areas were brought in and used, and I could see this happening particularly in Michigan, because there wasn't a big population here, and it was actually rather remote. So anyways, those are images of that 1844 halfpenny. This coin is a bit of a mystery to me. This is a token from not token, but it is a coin from 1852, and it was made of copper, and was from the Bank of Upper Canada. But as you can see, all these holes punched in it, and I can find no reference as to why this might have been done. So it's quite interesting. Had it not been punched full of these holes, it would be fairly easy to see the details of this one, because on the obverse is an image of St. George slaying the dragon. The odd thing is that why there are 11 punched holes into the coin. They don't seem to serve any practical purpose that I can ascertain, and I found no reference to such a treatment. But the coin, again, was found here in Saginaw on the west side. It's been suggested to me, but there is no, but I've been able to find no confirmation that this was done to coins to vary the weight, to use them as pieces to weigh other items on a scale. Don't know if that's true. Kind of makes some sense to me. You can kind of see right there in the middle the horse head for St. George. Let's take a look at here. We have the obverse. Some detail is discernible, but in the images I was able to find on the computer, I could only find an image of the Obverse side with St. George slaying the dragon, and but this was a copper penny token, 1850. It's a fairly good-sized piece, smaller, or no, about the size of a current United States $half. You can see around the rim there is like reading right around here. Would have been a really decent looking coin intact. So let me show you an image of what the obverse of this, and there we have it with St. George on horseback slaying the dragon. A little bit of background information on this coin in this period. The Bank of Upper Canada was established in 1821 in York, which is now Toronto, Ontario, under a charter granted by the province of Upper Canada in 1819. When Upper and Lower Canada were united in 1841 to form the province of Canada, it was decided that only the bank that held government accounts should be able to issue copper tokens. So this privilege was enjoyed by the Bank of Montreal until 1848. Following the passage of the Rebellion Losses Bill in 1849, rioting in Montreal led to the destruction of the legislative buildings, and the capital of the province was transferred to Toronto, and as a result, the right to issue tokens passed to the Bank of Upper Canada. And then between 1850 and 1857, the Bank of Upper Canada issued a series of handsome penny and half-penny copper tokens. The obverse of the penny issued in 1850, shown here, as I said already, features St. George and the Dragon motif encircled with a legend of the Bank of Upper Canada and the date 1850 in this case. The St. George motif was designed by Benedetto Pistrucci, Pistrucci, for the British sovereign of 1817, and is considered to be the definitive representation of the theme. And the token, as it says here, is about the size of a Canadian silver dollar, and about the size, I would say, of a United States $half. Now this coin was issued in 1857. It is from the same series as the one I just showed you from 1852. This one is smaller because it is the halfpenny. It features again the slaying of the dragon by St. George. The coin was issued by the Bank of Upper Canada again, and on the back of it is the coat of arms. This was again found here in Saginaw, Michigan. You'll notice that there is one hole punched in this one, and that is a normal thing to see. And I'm told, and have read in different resources, that that was done to be able to wear the coin or token on a chain. And this was done a lot by the Native American Indians in Canada and here in the United States of America. I've also been told that they were punched so they could be strung for counting and not easily lost. So in either case, makes sense. I've seen many drawings and illustrations of such coins, though, being worn around the neck of a Native American Indian, and I choose to believe that this is what this was used for, but I have no proof. But let's take a look at the now. The reverse, as I said, features the bank's coat of arms, the Bank of Upper Canada. You cannot tell much. I mean, the image is there. It's but it's pretty distorted. But you can see a little bit of it. On the other one that I showed you prior to this, the 1852 with the holes punched all through it, you could see that on the back, and it would have been quite profound. Nice condition had it not been for 11 holes punched through the coin. Here we have 4 Queen Victoria coins. These first 2, showing the obverse and reverse, are from 1859. This coin is from 1886, and then this one I can't find a date, but we'll discuss that one in a moment. Queen Victoria, the best known for the Victorian era she represented, the Latin wording around the obverse of the coin says Victoria by the grace of God, Quebec. And so you can see the bust of Victoria there, and on the reverse, the denomination, which is 1 cent, and then of course the date, surrounded by laurel wreaths. This one, a little bit better image. You can make out the bust better, but still it's not well defined, but it's a nicer looking image, and this one is from 1886, I think is what I said. Here is another Queen Victoria, badly worn, both obverse and reverse, but it has that hole punched in again, so we can only continue to wonder, was this worn or was this strung together with other coins to make counting easier? The design is considered most beautiful, and Victoria, of course, appeared on UK coinage up until the time of her death. She had a long reign, and such a long period of time was marked by her name as the Victorian period. And so these coins are not extremely valuable, but they are extremely interesting to look at and consider the lady behind them who ruled the vast UK kingdom, which really spanned the entire globe. After Victoria came King George, and I have two examples here. The design, of course, is the same. These are two copper 1 cent pieces. The one on the left is from 1902, and the one on the right is from 1910. Again, both were dug up here in Saginaw, Michigan. It is not so unusual, really, to find these coins here. They are, again, interesting bits of history as you look at King George and his fairly short reign, as opposed to the reign of Queen Victoria, which was quite lengthy, and we wouldn't have another extremely lengthy reign of a British sovereign until Queen Elizabeth in the 1950s, and it is now 2020, and she still reigns over the United Kingdom. On the front here, of course, we see the bust of King George, and then on the reverse, we see, let me turn this one over. Okay, turn this one over. The design is similar to what we saw in the Queen Victoria ones. It says 1 cent, and the date surrounded by a chain of like laurel leaves. And so not a whole lot to say about these coins. They're in better condition than the other ones I found you, but then again, they're much newer than the other ones, but not new by any sense of the word. But now this is not a Canadian coin. It is a coin from England, and it features on it, went out of focus, just a second please, King George. I'm only showing this here to bring up the end of this presentation and to tell you to stay with me for just a few minutes, and I will choose or draw the name of the winner of that collector's plate. I hope that you've enjoyed a look at these really wonderful and historic coins that were found here in Saginaw, Michigan, mainly here on the west side, which is where I live. And next week we'll be taking a look at something entirely different again, something else in my collection, which is a really interesting collection of antique car advertisements. And nothing says Michigan like cars of the early era. So we'll take a look at those next week. I hope you'll enjoy those. I love them myself. So stay tuned here, and I'll tell you